p.m. in America. US authorities struggle to regain control as violent protests continue across the country. A driver fronts court charged with manslaughter for a crash that killed two best friends. Backyards searched as a phone call from mum helps end a suburban standoff. The campaign to bring the state's struggling tourism industry back to life. And how we celebrated a very different WA Day.
This is 10 News First, Perth, with Monika Kos.
Good evening. First to breaking news, and emergency crews are tonight at the scene of a fatal crash just outside Geraldton. Lee Steele joins us live from the 10 News First newsroom. Lee, police have just confirmed some heartbreaking details.
They have, Monica. They've told us that two young children have been killed in this crash. It happened at around midday near Geraldton. Police, emergency services and paramedics were called to the scene. It was in the suburb of Georgina, which is near Greenough, south of Geraldton. The accident site itself is at McCartney Road near Edwards Road, and there is a police roadblock there right now. The road has been closed in both directions. As we say, up to 5 people taken to Geraldton Regional Hospital. Major crash investigators have been called and they're investigating the crash right now. Details are only just coming through, so we will have an update for you a little later. But at this stage, very, very sad news out of Geraldton, Mon, that 2 children have been killed. Indeed. Lee, thank you. The wave of violence sweeping through America has come within metres of the White House. Authorities are struggling to regain control as fresh rioting flared across the country, while in Minneapolis a semi-trailer was driven into protesters.
2 blocks from the White House, a symbol of American power. Tonight, the streets outside the president's home are burning.
That flashbang audible for the President of the United States.
Smoke fills the air as chaos and lawlessness reign.
Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight.
The building's exterior lights were dimmed. The president silent, staying out of sight all afternoon and night.
George Floyd! George Floyd!
As his country again descended into anarchy. In Minnesota, protesters jamming a bridge were sent scrambling.
Oh, wow, they're moving across. What's going on?
I'm not certain what
Oh, my God.
As a semi-trailer barreled straight for them.
Oh, my God.
This is very dangerous.
Incredibly, there were no major injuries, except for the driver, as the crowd swarmed the cabin and beat him before handing him over to police. Bogdan Vachurko is under arrest, but his motivation, if any, is unclear. On the west coast today, the tourist hotspot of Santa Monica was a new flashpoint.
Hey, get up out of there!
With wild looting along the famous 3rd Street Promenade.
This is insane.
Some right in front of police. Rioters also clashed with each other. A peaceful demonstrator tries to stop the insanity. She is wrenched aside and attacked herself.
We are here for the protest, but when we see people looting, it defeats the cause.
In Philadelphia, police cars burned again.
Shooting smoke bombs currently.
New York's Times Square was filled. In Boston, they surged towards the state capitol. But there have been moments of unity.
The only reason we're here is to make sure that you got a voice.
Here from a sheriff in Michigan. And they did, together. In other states, more senior officers showed their solidarity too. And in Minnesota, where just one of the 4 policemen involved in George Floyd's death stands charged, an incredible moment on TV. As the Floyd family gave a live interview,
they had enough evidence to fire them, so they have enough evidence to arrest them.
The city's police chief was asked to speak directly to them.
But they want to know if the other officers should be arrested in your mind, and if you see that they should all 4 be convicted in this case.
And this is the Floyd family right now?
This is the Floyd family.
Removing his hat, his answer was clear.
Silence and inaction, you're complicit.
Charging them, though, is a call for prosecutors. But if it happens, it's hard to see even that being the circuit breaker America needs to stop the madness. Daniel Sutton for 10 News First.
Duncan Mackenzie-McCarr is live for us in Santa Monica, just to the east of Los Angeles. Duncan, what's the situation like there now?
Well, the situation has certainly quietened down, at least for now. A curfew was ordered around 4 p.m, but it's taken hours and hours for people to disperse from this particular area. I mean, what we saw in Santa Monica today was just complete chaos and mayhem. And just behind me is just some of the destruction that has been caused. I've been told this was one of the more famous restaurants in Santa Monica, and that was just completely set ablaze. It was wide-scale looting, there was violence, there was all sorts of destruction happening here on the streets of Santa Monica. And funnily enough, it actually started relatively peacefully. At about midday on Ocean Avenue, there was a protest, but then a couple of hours later, a few blocks away down here at 3rd Street Promenade, it was just businesses were being looted. There was all sorts of violent acts happening. What was another shocking day here for the country.
Extraordinary scenes. Thank you very much for that, Duncan. The protesters have been split by those looting and using violence and those who are marching peacefully. Our US correspondent Eamon Ashton Atkinson was in New York when fresh rioting broke out around him.
Not a single police officer in sight. People are smashing up a police car. Yesterday it was all within a few blocks down in Chelsea. Now it's spreading around and moving very fast.
Then around the corner on 5th Avenue, more looting begins.
They've breached through this shop and then everyone is just running in and ransacking it. It is extraordinary. I've got to get out of the way.
People steal clothes, jackets, whatever they can, then across the road. An electronics store, another free-for-all, no rule of law here on this block in Midtown Manhattan.
People here are on watch out, waiting to warn them when the police are coming. They keep shouting they're coming, but it's been 5 minutes and I have not seen one police officer.
Finally, a unit arrives.
You can see them approach very cautiously. There's probably only about 10 of them. Armed with their batons, they're very much keeping a distance right now. They are definitely outnumbered. More police are starting to come. The crowds are running down this small street. I don't feel safe going down there.
As I head home, I come across another group near Central Park. They surround these policemen, but then something unexpected happens.
So people started throwing projectiles at the police, but other protesters stepped in and formed a barrier around them, saying, no, don't do that. I think the point they're trying to make is they're here to make a point. Not here, this group anyway, to cause violence.
The same city, the same anger, but two very different ways of expressing it. Eamon Ashton Atkinson for 10 News First, New York.
In Atlanta, 2 more police officers have been fired after using excessive force during an arrest on Saturday evening, and awarding some of these pictures are confronting. News crews recorded the moment police approached and tasered 2 Atlanta University students leaving the protesters in their car.
This woman just got tased.
The 20-year-old woman in the passenger seat was placed on the ground, zip-tied and arrested, while several officers surrounded the 22-year-old male driver and tasered him before also taking him into custody. The Atlanta mayor said on Sunday 3 other officers had been placed on desk duty pending further investigation. Rallies in support of the Black Lives Matter movement have been held across the globe, including here in Perth. Cindy Lavrenchik joins us live from the city. Cindy, a crowd has already started to gather.
Monica, more than 1,000 people responded to say they would be attending this peaceful protest here at Forest Place to stand in solidarity with the black community in America. Already, as you can see behind me, there is quite a large crowd that has gathered here holding signs, some bearing the last words of George Floyd, "I can't breathe." Organisers say this event is a show of support following his death and mass protests across the United States, but has also been created to highlight the portrait treatment of black and Indigenous people here back home, with a list of deaths in custody, names which will form part of a chant that Black Lives Matter. A number of speakers will be addressing the crowd, including Noongar elder Uncle Ben Taylor, who I spoke to a short time ago.
We identify strongly with American and African American because we've been through the same thing, and they're angry over there. So are we. I look at it all day and night on the TV, and I can see where they're coming from.
There's over 400 plus Indigenous deaths in custody that are not being investigated.
There is a police presence down here. They are on the sides watching on, but organisers say they do want this to remain peaceful. They are not here to riot. Monica, they'll be here for the next 2.5 hours, calling to be heard and for the protection of their people.
Cindy, thank you. Cindy Lavrenchik there in the city at a Black Lives Matter movement. A Perth driver has been charged with the deaths of 2 women in a weekend crash. Shane Pearce is also accused of fleeing the scene without trying to help. Lee Steele has more.
Monica, this was the first court appearance for the 50-year-old driver charged over the crash that claimed the lives of 2 women. It happened at the intersection of Ennis Avenue and Grange Road in Coolungup on Friday night. 27-year-old Lauren Prothero and her close friend Paige Ward were killed when a white Land Cruiser ploughed into their Nissan Micra. Security footage shows the Land Cruiser heading towards the lights before hitting the other car with the 2 victims inside. Police allege Shane Bradley Pearce was the driver and say he and his passenger fled the scene. Mr Pearce was arrested a short time later, and this morning he fronted the Northbridge Magistrates Court on 2 counts of manslaughter. He's also been charged with failing to offer assistance after the deadly crash and not reporting the crash to police. During the brief court appearance, Mr Pearce only spoke to say he understood the charges he's facing. Mr Pearce didn't make a bail application, so he'll stay behind bars until his next court appearance on June 24. Monica.
Police dog Mako's helped track down a driver accused of leading officers on a high-speed chase. He was later found hiding on a roof, the standoff ending after a phone call from his mum.
An hour-long rooftop standoff with police finally ends. A 27-year-old man put into handcuffs after he sparked a massive manhunt in Cloverdale early this morning.
The police were all around the house, climbing the roof, over the fence, and with the dog.
Police say the pursuit started when they tried to pull over a blue Mitsubishi just before 2. They chased the car through several suburbs in the southeast. It ended when the driver crashed into a brick wall on Epsom Avenue.
It was about between 1 and 2 a.m. and just an abrupt noise, and sort of come out the front of my house and I was seeing that there's a car. It sort of crashed into the neighbour's yard, and I hear police and some commotion.
Officers say the driver took off and left his 3 passengers still in the car. Cloverdale residents awoke as police and the dog squad scoured their backyards, but it was police dog Mako who tracked the man down, found on a roof of a nearby home. It took police an hour and a phone call from his mum to convince the 27-year-old to give himself up.
Mum, I don't trust him.
The 81-year-old woman inside the home has lived here for 40 years. Her family says she slept through the entire ordeal and only realised what happened when police started banging on the back door. The driver faced Northbridge Court this morning on multiple charges, including trying to evade police, no authority to drive and drug possession. Anne-Marie Leonard for 10 News First.
A truck driver's accused of drink driving twice in one day. Bikram It Singh was pulled over in Bayswater at around 11 yesterday morning and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. His licence was suspended, but 6 hours later he was arrested once again, this time in Kiara. Mr Singh's truck was seized and he faced court today. West Australians are being urged to wander out yonder to help our struggling tourism industry. But the state's hard border is here to stay, despite calls for the Premier to help get the economy back on track.
Stepping out at a Swan Valley winery, the Premier's misstep followed by
we have a taste.
breaking his own COVID rules.
So people make mistakes.
But the slip-up's unlikely to hurt his surging popularity as he sells WA to West Aussies.
What we want to do is encourage West Australians to holiday at home.
Launching a $2 million Wander Out Yonder campaign.
See some of those places you might not have seen for 20 years or indeed might not ever have seen.
It's the safest place on the planet and it's the most beautiful destination in the world, and you can help your fellow Western Australians by getting out there and supporting their tourism businesses.
After regional borders reopened at the weekend, the Kimberley is expected to follow on Friday. Local businesses are desperate to get back on their feet.
There's numerous great wineries, food places, breweries.
Hoping for phase 3 restrictions to be relaxed even further.
I wish the government would have a little bit more flexibility in allowing people to be able to stand to do the wine tasting.
We've got certain rules and certain advice, and that is that people should be seated.
As he stands firm on the interstate border, ruling out a travel bubble with South Australia and the Northern Territory. The opposition insists the Premier's hard border closure is unconstitutional, but is powerless to do much about it, instead leaving it to Clive Palmer's High Court challenge.
He needs a reality check on that. We cannot stay locked down forever. It'll kill our economy.
As WA recorded another COVID case overnight, the state now has 29 active cases. 20 of them are from the Al Kuwait sheep ship. Natalie Forrest for 10 News First.
West Australians have celebrated our state's Day of Pride despite limits on crowd numbers. The COVID-19 restrictions didn't stop bands performing either, with an impressive lineup streaming online.
From performing in front of packed crowds to now cameras inside the four walls of Freo Social. This is how a lineup of WA artists are tonight performing with pride.
I think while we're performing, we'll just have everyone at home in mind, who's tuning in and give it our all.
In March, organisers were forced to cancel the WA Day Festival, State of the Art Music Festival and the West Australian of the Year Awards due to coronavirus.
This year, of course, in 2020, the way we celebrate WA Day is very different from any previous year.
But to make up for it, they've organised 7 WA bands to stream a live online concert, and they're expecting thousands to tune in. From indie pop anthems to songs in Noongar language. The artists grateful for the platform during tough times.
It's just great to be playing a show and feeling very fortunate to have the opportunity to do it.
For those who spent the day outdoors, celebrations were much quieter than usual.
It's good to be able to get out and take baby for the walk and get some fresh air rather than being locked inside.
We're from Sydney originally, and you can't beat the beaches, can't beat the weather.
Despite cloudy conditions, many couldn't resist spending time on our famous coast or simply having the day off.
Are you enjoying being out of school today?
Yes. Yeah.
All filled with West Aussie pride.
Happy WA Day.
Amelia Simpson for 10 News First.
Time to get an early look at sport now with Tim Gossage. Steve Smith has come clean.
Monika, thank you. That's what he's done. Arguably the world's best batsman says practice doesn't always make perfect, especially when you're in lockdown. Hear his story a little later. Also, some footy golf when an eagle makes a bogey blunder. West Coast in good spirits as the season countdown continues. And Jesse Hogan's giant strides at the Dockers. He zeroes in a shock round 2 spot. And we've got Nat 5 talking about Jesse Hogan coming up in sport.
See you then, Goss. After the break on 10, mortgage relief, help for Australians struggling to make it through the pandemic. And the new stimulus that could see a rush on home renovations.
Must See Monday. Your home of sensational food is MasterChef at 7:30.
Oh man, super delicious.
It was just a really, really lovely hug in a bowl.
Then later, your home of big laughs is Have You Been Paying Attention?
I can honestly say I've never felt more at home. Okay.
Your home of big entertainment?
Still in isolation, but that hasn't stopped us.
Is 10's Must See Monday from 7:30.
At Coles,
Coles, we're helping lower the cost of dinner with Coles Aussie Lamb Boneless Leg Roast, down to $18 a kilo. For more great specials, sign up to our digital catalogue at coles.com.au. Coles, good things, great value.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, 10 gigs of scrolling through memory lane, 10 gigs of staycations, or 10 gigs of catching up with the family. Plus, unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. We all spend family time differently. Together, we're different. Belong.
Get back to the game you love with a Drummond Golf sale. Get 10 to 20% off push buggies and bags, irons and iron sets, a minimum 20% off gloves and apparel, and a minimum 10% off packages. Now on at Drummond Golf.
The great outdoors has never looked better. And to celebrate, Mitsubishi is offering 7 years warranty and up to $1,500 off their legendary SUVs and utes. So now you can come and see for yourself.
Shaver Shop's end of financial year sale. Save up to 80%. GHD Original Styler now $168. Philips Sonic Hair Electric Toothbrush half price plus 60% off this Braun IPL now $319. Save up to 80% at Shaver Shop. Sale on now.
Meet the revolutionary Sleeping Duck mattress taking Australia by storm. It's the next generation mattress reimagined by aerospace engineers, making history. Choices best overall mattress 2 years in a row. That's Sleeping Duck. One giant leap for your sleep.
Very easy for you to set up a smart home at Bunnings.
Smart starter kit, only $258. Alex Smart Adapter, just $17.50.
Where you find a competitor's lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%. Shop at Bunnings wherever you are, whenever you want.
Tonight, Ursula, Lloyd and Celia are back in business with Ed and Sam. On You, Have You Been Paying Attention?
Hello there. If you've paused your mortgage because of COVID-19, expect a call from your bank for a 3-month check-in. Another of the Big Four is also rolling out more options for cash-strapped customers. The Commonwealth Bank is allowing existing mortgagees who've deferred repayments to switch to interest-only loans when their payment pause ends. People will be able to make repayments like this for a year. Westpac rolled out a similar measure last week, and some customers have realised their financial situation isn't as bad as first thought. More than 4,000 people, or 4% of those who asked Westpac for help, are resuming payments. For ANZ, it's about 2% of customers. Now, the value of homes across Australia dropped ever so slightly in May, in the first month-on-month decline in almost a year. 5 of the 8 capital city regions recorded a fall. Sydney's median value still tops the list. CoreLogic researchers say a fall of less than 0.5% nationally over the month does show market resilience. Now, the ASX 200 has started off the month up more than 1%. Fortescue Metals set a new record high price, while healthcare giant CSL also helped drive the market up. To the dollar, it's hit 15-week highs, now buying around 67.3 US cents. Analysts say partly because of concerns about rioting there. And that's finance.
A multi-billion-dollar stimulus package is on the way for the housing construction industry. It's hoped to save tens of thousands of jobs and could soon be extended to include home renovations.
Work has been flowing in the housing construction industry, but there's post-pandemic pain on the horizon.
The survey of our members show that the forward work has declined at least by 40%, and therefore there's a huge amount of uncertainty going forward.
Enter the Treasurer.
G'day guys, how are you? Nice to see you.
Who's set to unveil a multi-billion-dollar renovation rescue package later this week.
And what we're focused on is meeting that gap in demand that will inevitably occur in the back half of this year.
Instead of 160,000 homes built this year, it's now predicted that it could be as low as 100,000. Now, if that happens, tens of thousands of tradies will lose their jobs.
For the first time, cash grants could extend to home renovations.
It's a long supply chain. It's not just the sparky and the plumber, it's also the timber mill. It's also the appliance manufacturer for the new kitchen.
But the biggest grants will be for those wanting to start from scratch.
We are more interested in the larger projects and new home builds and things like that.
There's also calls for it to help build and repair more social and community housing. The Coalition has also confirmed it is working on a support package for the arts and entertainment industry, which has been crying out for help.
The entertainment sector will find it difficult to get capital moving again because they've had to draw down on it so significantly, and getting started again will be hard.
And without it, some curtains will stay closed. Tegan George for 10 News First.
Here's Michael Schultz now with a look ahead to weather. It has been a rather gloomy start to June.
Yes, but the sun's going to come and go over the next week. It doesn't look like we're going to get a lot of rainfall. Speaking of rainfall, here are the rainfall totals for May, and there were some good ones amongst them. Perth was around 25 millimetres above average, and those below average included Rottnest and Lancelin and Northam, all around 15 below average. Guildford was 11 above, and the significant one was 50 above for Bickley, 42 millimetres above average for Dwellingup. 16 through the hills today with the coolest locations. 22 was the highest. That was recorded up to the north of Lancelin. The city itself was 19.8 after an overnight minimum of 13.1. Some of the other metropolitan temperatures included 17 at Northam and 20 at Bullsbrook and Guildford. Around the state today, 37 at Columbaroo in the far north Kimberley was the highest maximum, and the lowest last night was 3 degrees at Laverton in the Goldfields and at Bulga Downs in the Gascoyne. I'll see you a little later.
Look forward to having you back then. Ahead on 10 News. Making history, why the successful SpaceX launch marks a new age in exploration. And she might be 94, but that won't stop the Queen enjoying some well-earned R&R.
The battle to make MasterChef's top 10 begins.
I think we've got a battle on our hands here, guys. That's right, gang. Citrus.
Just wait till you see who comes out on top.
Nothing could have prepared me for the flavour bomb that's in that bowl.
The battle for the top 10 starts on 10.
It continues 7:30 tonight.
With Light and Easy, you can still enjoy a huge variety of delicious healthy meals in the comfort and safety of your home, thanks to their chefs and dietitians and their contactless delivery service. In fact, Light and Easy has recently been rated Australia's #1 healthy meal delivery service, scoring 5 stars for customer satisfaction as well as taste, variety and freshness, all things you'll find on their autumn menu. Enjoy delicious healthy meals with Light and Easy's contactless award-winning delivery. Order today.
Search this, and you'll never have to search that. Complete a St John First Aid course online today.
Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer. Receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card when you sign up to a new service on the Optus $65 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months with 80 gigabytes of data for use in Oz. That's right. Sign up to a new service on the $65 per month 24-month Optus SIM-only plan and you'll receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card. Offer ends June 30. New services only, not available with other offers. Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
Kill bacteria that can cause sore throats fast with Betadine Sore Throat Gargle. Or treat and relieve with new Betadine Gargle and Lozenges Kit.
Let's do it, baby.
It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
Swagger.
Steve? Domino's is bringing New York to your living room with the new Tastier New Yorker range. Now with even more authentic ingredients, like huge pepperoni on a giant-sized New York pizza. Try one from just $19.95 delivered from Domino's.
Chloe and Zoe are twins and Amy customers, so you have the same taste.
We love our HD, LED, LCD, 4K, Pixel TVs. Oh, and Barney and Rubble love the dog channel.
Do you choose to save now or later on your insurance?
Later.
Buy a home or car insurance policy and Amy Flexi Premiums lets you vary your excess to save now or later. Choose a higher excess to save now or choose a lower excess to save at claim time.
You're with Amy.
In these interesting times, everyone's coping with lockdown in their own way.
No, this is great. This reminds me of how I used to give evidence in court cases. Okay. This is fantastic.
So lock it on to Ursula, Lloyd and Celia as they join Ed and Sam on new Have You Been Paying Attention? Tonight.
Anger over George Floyd's death in America has sparked an outpouring of public fury in Europe. The biggest demonstration was in London, where thousands of supporters defied bans on mass gatherings.
There wasn't the violence and looting seen in America, but there was certainly anger in London. For the first time in months, the streets were packed. George Floyd's death may have been thousands of kilometres away, yet the injustice hit home for many others around the world.
We're tired of just having conversations on Instagram, posting stuff on stories. Exactly. It's not doing anything. It's not helping no one. We've been having these conversations since we were 11 years old. Yeah, nothing's We're now 18.
Protesters rallied at the gates of Downing Street and the road to the US Embassy was completely blocked.
This is people who have had enough. It's time to make some changes.
There were similar scenes at America's embassy in Berlin and Copenhagen too. Even in Germany's Bundesliga, English footballer Jadon Sancho made his thoughts about the protest known after scoring a goal.
People were protesting this in 2016. It's 2020, it's been 4 years, we're still doing this.
With everything else that's going on at the moment, it's really important that people's voices are heard. And this is not just about black people, it's about people in general and the working class.
Showing the fight against inequality knows no borders. Phoebe Bowden for 10 News First London.
The Queen is back in the saddle today following the easing of coronavirus restrictions in the UK. Her Majesty was pictured on the weekend riding a horse in Windsor Home Park just before she issued a number of national messages about rallying. Despite the chaos emerging across the UK, the Queen appears to have enjoyed her ride. The artist Christo, famous for wrapping buildings, including Berlin's Reichstag, has died. The 84-year-old dreamt up what seemed impossible, even cloaking areas of coast and entire islands in fabric. A planned work to wrap the Arc de Triomphe will still be made and unveiled in Paris next year. After hurtling through space for almost 24 hours, the Dragon ship Endeavour has docked with the International Space Station. The mission is the first of its kind between NASA and Elon Musk's company SpaceX, and its success paves the way for a brave future beyond Earth.
They travelled for 19 hours to get there, and in the end it came down to a delicate few metres.
And we are just 5 metres away.
The Dragon ship Endeavour was designed to dock autonomously to the International Space Station, and it took place 262 statute miles over the border of China and Mongolia.
So we're closing in at less than 1/10 of a metre per second at this point.
Just a few minutes later, with the world watching live online, the capsule latched on to the ISS.
Dragon arriving. Crew of Expedition 63 is honored to welcome Dragon and the Commercial Crew program to welcome aboard the International Space Station. Bob and Doug, glad to have you as part of the crew.
Through zero gravity, US astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken left their craft and boarded the station, floating straight into a photo shoot.
In Houston, we see you, and it's a great-looking photograph.
It's the first time NASA has partnered with a private company to launch US astronauts into space from US soil. The successful collaboration with SpaceX means it no longer has to book seats on Russian rockets.
I do think that this was a moment in time for people to reflect on what is great about exploration, what is great
about the United States of America and what we can achieve when we work together.
Bob and Doug will stay on the ISS for up to 3 months. Beyond that, there are plans to revisit the moon, and then it's on to Mars. Candice Wyatt for 10 News First.
After the break. No more needles. Why an Aussie invention could be the end of the flu jab. And meet the local breweries who've created something a little different to get through the pandemic.
On 10's Must See Monday, your home of sensational food is MasterChef at 7:30.
Oh man, super delicious.
It was just a really, really lovely hug in a bowl.
Then later, your home of big laughs is Have You Been Paying Attention?
I can honestly say I've never felt more at home. Okay.
Your home of big entertainment?
Still in isolation, but that hasn't stopped us.
Is 10's Must See Monday from 7:30.
Love the no BS attitude. Can't believe I didn't try him earlier.
Another real review from a happy Aussie broadband customer. With thousands of 5-star reviews, an award-winning NBN network and all Australian support, why wait any longer? Aussie Broadband. Can't beat feedback.
Thinking about heating your home or office? Save up to 30% off premium Fujitsu ducted systems. Save hundreds on Fujitsu wall-mounted split systems. Visit ambienceair.com.au and find out why. It's more comfortable choosing Ambience Air.
Harvey Norman has everything you need for your home, including the very best of Australian-made bedding. Make your statement with gorgeous Australian-made timber and fabric beds and customise the fabric, colour and timber stain to suit your style. Our huge range features the best names in Australian-made mattresses and ensembles. Sealy, Sleepmaker, Beautyrest, King Coil and Body Balance. Complete your sleep experience with beautiful Australian-made Manchester. All this, plus 60 months interest-free. Shop in our spacious stores, support local manufacturers and choose Australian-made. Now at Harvey Norman.
At UE, we're all about how you use or don't use your car. But right now, most people who usually drive to work aren't. Most people who work from home are driving even less, and most retirees and commuters are homebound. If you are using your car less, we'd like to give you temporary relief on your car insurance premiums. UE clients, go to our website, follow the prompts, and your saving will be applied. Shopping around for car insurance, the same relief applies to you. UE, you insured.
HelloFresh. Delicious meals delivered to your door with pre-portioned, fresh ingredients. Now you can focus on what's really important. Order your box today. HelloFresh. Inspiration delivered.
Getting back on the road is something we're all looking forward to. And at Toyota, we're here to help you do just that. Our dealerships are still open and we have a range of finance options that can help you get behind the wheel of your new car.
Get Corolla Hatch Ascent Sport Petrol from $96 per week and 3.9% finance with Toyota Access. Visit your local dealer to find out more. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
If you have a serious ongoing condition like osteoporosis, don't put your health on hold.
Medical authorities are urging you to keep in contact with your GP and stay on your medications.
Call your doctor today to stay treated and stay safe.
Hi, mate.
Hey, Dad.
How's the new place?
Yeah, it's really good.
What have you been up to?
Not much. No, I miss you guys. Can you believe it? I actually miss your cooking too.
I don't miss a thing. I got the new Woolies Rewards app.
Now you'll never miss an offer with everything in one place. Track your points, view your Woolworths e-receipts, and you can access your personalised offers so you save even more.
I do miss you, mate.
It's the brand new way to get your Woolies worth.
That's why I pick Woolies.
The biggest thing since joining My Budget is that we've eliminated almost all of our debt. And honestly, we have My Budget to thank for that.
Call My Budget now for your free consultation.
Abigail Thomas took office as the first woman to be named Chief of Police in the history of our city.
How do I look?
Tommy premieres Wednesday.
The top stories here on 10 News First. American authorities are struggling to regain control as rioting continues across the country. The violence has come within metres of the White House as rallies in support of the Black Lives Matter movement have been held in Australia and Europe. A Perth driver's faced court over the deaths of 2 women in a weekend crash. Lauren Protharo and Paige Ward were killed when the car allegedly driven by Shane Bradley Pearce slammed into them in Coolinggup. And a phone call from mums helped bring an hour-long standoff to an end. A 27-year-old's been charged with leading police on an overnight chase. He was tracked to the roof of a Cloverdale home but refused to come down. Flu jabs could soon be a thing of the past. An Australian company's come up with a revolutionary way to get vaccinated without using a single syringe.
A simple stick-on patch applied directly to the skin that could one day replace the dreaded jab and bring vaccinations to the world faster, cheaper and more effectively.
What this technology could do in a pandemic is potentially enable vaccine products to be put in the post, sent out to people's homes, prevent them coming together to be vaccinated.
Brisbane biotechnology company Vaxxus created this proprietary high-density microarray patch, or HD map. In testing, it's been proven to produce an immune response comparable to a standard syringe using just 1/6 of a dose of an influenza vaccine. Now a new multi-million-dollar deal could see it brought to the world.
So hopefully most vaccine types, all of them are a little bit different, but hopefully most of those will be compatible with our technology.
Vaxxus has signed with 2 international companies to develop and commercialise an undisclosed vaccine to be administered through the patches. At full capacity, they estimate they could produce 5 million per week, with each one tested to last for 12 months at temperatures as high as 40 degrees. If it makes it to market, it could revolutionise the way the world responds to a pandemic.
It also means it's much safer because you don't have to transport syringes at particular temperatures. You don't have to have trained nurses in regards to administering that vaccine.
The deal means HD MAP can move to late-stage clinical studies next year before developing further.
And the more we can do to improve the uptake of vaccines, the better we will be at protecting the community against these diseases which are prevalent.
Matthew Howard for 10 News First.
Any beer lover would hate to see a drop go to waste, so a Perth distillery stepped in to help save some brews that couldn't be sold in the pandemic. It's been made into an exclusive moonshine to help local businesses that were forced to call last drinks.
It's a sight that could bring a grown man to tears. Brewers around the world have been doing it tough during the COVID-19 crisis, with venues closed and beer going down the drain.
A lot of them were having to shut down, so we knew there was going to be a lot of beer that was going to sit around and potentially go off.
But the once-in-a-blue moon pandemic has led to a brew moon rising. 21 businesses from around WA donating thousands of litres of beer for this one-off moonshine.
There's lagers, there's IPAs, there's pale ales, there's stout, there's even barley wine. It is quite literally the spirit of WA beer.
The brews crafted together by Whippersnapper Distillery, who have been busy making hand sanitizer during the shutdown. The limited edition spirit has a very special label, inspired by the resident distillery dogs.
Marley the wolf howling at the moon was a really good inspiration to drive the story, and Copper's quite a motherly dog, so she looks over the whole process.
The best way to have a tasting of the moonshine is to get it officially approved by the stars of the label first. Okay.
Yeah, we have to support our local producers here in West Australia, so it's our little way of helping out.
Brew Moon Rising goes on sale tomorrow, with proceeds going back to the beer brewers. Bo Pearson for 10 News First.
Goss is here with Holiday Monday Sport. More positive signs at the Dockers.
Looking very good down there, absolutely. They had a spirited training session today, and once again the focus was on the positive steps of star Jesse Hogan, and he's skipping that 5, seems confident he's on the right track. Also, he's been flat out trying to prove he's almost back to his best. But once again, Sean Darcy gets whacked and is forced off the track. And we'll be straight up with you tonight. Player of the day has missed the mark.
A heartbreaking and heartless goodbye from MasterChef fan favourite.
Welcome to the Facebook News, the show that recognises a lot of people now get their news from Facebook. Oh, excuse me, this just in. Listen how loud this goat is. You see that? Yes!
New Kenny tonight on 10.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of school lunchboxes. With Coles high fibre, low GI bakery rolls 4-pack or loaf, just $3 every day. Coles tasty cheese and crackers with no artificial colours or flavours 50-gram pack, $1.60 every day. And Coles delicious creamy yoghurt pouches, just 75 cents every day. Never miss another weekly special. Sign up for the Coles digital catalogue at coles.com.au. Coles. Good things, great value.
I've been around for 29 years because the company is so good to work for. So I educate staff to educate their clients, make them feel and look great long after they've left the salon.
Our team making you look and feel the very best you can every time.
Rental Management Australia is 100% focused on managing properties. We understand clear communication gives you peace of mind, and that's delivering positive word-of-mouth referrals Australia-wide. Rental Management Australia. Your property is our priority.
There you go, Swagger.
Steve? Domino's is bringing New York to your living room with the new tastier New Yorker range, now with even more authentic ingredients, like huge pepperoni on a giant-sized New York pizza. Try one from just $19.95 delivered from Domino's.
Search this, and you'll never have to search that. Complete a St. John First Aid course online today.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt excellence by the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
When did life start to move this quickly? Somehow we made it to 6:30 p.m. with no real idea where our 9-to-5s went. Isn't it time to rethink our approach and explore solutions that stretch beyond the medicine cabinet? See, at Panadol, we're making it our mission to help more Australians focus on staying well. Sure, it's a big conversation to have, but now's the time to start. Together, let's rethink care.
We'll take the old grout out and put the new grout in. We'll fix your leaking shower, make it brand new and sparkling. Grout Gone.
Tonight, Ursula, Lloyd and Celia are back in business with Ed and Sam on You Have You Been Paying Attention?
Well, to spot everyone, Jesse Hogan is making it hard for the Fremantle Dockers match committee to leave him out. With less than a fortnight before their clash with the Brisbane Lions, Hogan appears to be doing everything right on and off the track. Steve Allen has more.
Jesse Hogan is moving closer towards an AFL comeback, and today he was even taking grabs flat on his back. Hogan has already booked his ticket to the Gold Coast hub, and his next game could be sooner rather than later.
Perhaps it'll be an environment where Jess can start to feel a bit more comfortable with some of the other players. He's taken some great steps so far in terms of his training and preparation. He's got a fair way to go, but everything's looking pretty positive at the moment. And as a leadership group and as a club, we're right behind Jess and walking him back to playing AFL footy.
A round 2 return would be a shock, but perhaps this season we should expect the unexpected.
It's going to be a magical mystery tour this football season, I reckon. So that's a Beatles line, isn't it, that one? But it will be, I think. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting.
Positive steps too for Sam Sturt, on track again following a back injury. Defender Nathan Wilson was back on light duties, while ruckman Sean Darcy headed straight for the rooms after going to ground in a tackle. The big man didn't return whilst our cameras were there, 12 days out from their round 2 clash against Brisbane and a potential matchup with Stephen Martin.
He's the first bloke ever to do an ACL and not miss a game in a season. He's a freak.
Chris Fagan embellishing Martin's original PCL injury, but his team is ready to bounce back from their round 1 loss to the Hawks. Skipper Dane Zorko is nursing a sore Achilles, but is likely to face Freo. The Lions focused for their return, the coach finding a positive in COVID-19's limitations.
So what we've tended to do a little bit more is send vision out for the players to watch at home before they come into meetings, and it's actually interesting. They've got a lot more to say when they come in, and you don't have to spend as much time explaining things.
There was no premiership at stake in Lathlane today, and luckily so. Josh Kennedy's putter off the mark as the forwards warmed up with footy golf before testing their skills from behind the fence. The Eagles easing into their week with match sim slated for Friday. Steve Allen for 10 News First.
The footy gods have smiled upon Majak Daw. It was feared yesterday the Kangaroo would miss the season with a chest injury. Now, doctors have told him he could be back playing within a month.
Majak Daw feared the worst when he felt his pec muscle rip during a gym session on Friday, but he was all smiles today after he was told he would not need to go under the knife.
Yeah, relief. I mean, obviously it's pretty well known that I haven't played for a long time, and even I just miss playing footy.
Daw's long-awaited return to AFL football could have been delayed by 8 to 10 weeks if surgery was required. He now could potentially be available as early as round 3.
They're saying it's about 3 weeks before I can play, but I'm obviously going to try really hard, push myself to get back quicker.
Daw suffered the injury doing some standard dumbbell presses, but was surprised how quickly it responded in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it was pretty painful. But, I came in the next day on Saturday and, got some range of movement back. It's still a bit swollen. Could do a push-up.
Daw hasn't played at senior level since 2018 due to a myriad of injuries. He played 4 VFL games last year before a torn hamstring ended hopes of an AFL return. He was in line to play in round 1 prior to the COVID lockdown before withdrawing due to illness. This latest setback has not wavered his focus.
Yeah, it's a new injury, a new challenge, but the hunger's still there to come back and play AFL footy.
Alex Malcolm for 10 News First.
Carlton captain Patrick Cripps has declared he's sick of losing and wants to experience finals action this year. The West Aussie powerhouse says it's time the Blues were judged on performance rather than promise.
After 6 years of development, rebuild and growing green shoots, Patrick Cripps admits it's time for the Blues to stand strong and start winning.
Now it's just time for our actions to do the talking, and I want to play finals footy, there's no doubt about that.
The club is offering fans the chance to put their names on navy blue match Guernseys this year, the skipper urging his young team to start making a name for themselves.
Yeah, I haven't won much since I've been here, but I think everyone's competitive, and I think the beauty we're at now, we've sort of had some really tough years, but we've tried to really build a really good culture here where we have fun but we really compete and go hard, and that's what we've built.
Much has been made of the captain's leaner look since training restarted. Today came the confirmation the midfield powerhouse has deliberately shed some bulk.
I feel good. I definitely feel better, being a bit lighter and covering the ground a fair bit better, so you'll have to wait and see, I guess.
As for where the goals will come from against the Demons in round 2.
With Charlie Curnow out, is it Big Harry's time to shine?
Big H, he looked good the other day, Big H, so I'm pretty excited for him. He works hard, so we'll just have to keep kicking him, hoping clunk him and make me look good.
And here at Collingwood, there was a notable no-show, Jordan De Goey taking no part in what was a lengthy session. But the Pies insist the injury-prone forward is healthy, just opted to dodge the freezing conditions and complete his training indoors. Big man Mason Cox headed for a scan on his sore knee, but is expected to train fully later in the week as the Pies start sharpening for the Tigers.
Yeah, we're all set on Richmond in a couple of weeks' time.
And here's something you don't read every day. Hawk speeds to Chad Wingard, tweeting he no longer trusts the media and is placing a ban on himself. Nick Butler for 10 News First.
Well, it's well known Australia's biggest cricket star, Steve Smith, is a workaholic, but today he fessed up, admitting he's hardly touched the willow since the coronavirus lockdown.
After a long break, Steve Smith is itching to do just about anything. From a tragic who spends hours in the nets belting leather with willow, a startling admission.
I haven't touched a bat, really.
His answer so hard to believe he was quizzed again.
I really haven't picked up my cricket bat.
The test number one says he's feeling fitter and stronger than he has in years and mentally refreshed due to the COVID-19 layoff. But he's been busy coaching his followers on social media.
Your bat's coming through on an angle, so it's important to get this foot nice and straight. I'm sure it'll be, in the long run, probably a good thing again just to freshen up.
With the likelihood of more job cuts to come at Cricket Australia, the national team faces the prospect of having their own backroom staff streamlined. It'll then be a case of all hands on deck.
Guys might have to throw some balls to one of the other batters or help out the bowlers in a certain way. And different things, so it'll take a little bit of adjusting.
Smith against moves by the ICC to temporarily ban using saliva to polish the ball amid coronavirus fears.
So if that's taken away, I think that's, even as a batter, so if that's taken away, I don't think that's great. I actually spit on my hands most balls.
He's optimistic about September's limited overs tour of England, but postponing October's 2020 World Cup in Australia in favour of the Indian Premier League doesn't sit well.
When you're playing for your country in a World Cup, that's, that's the, pinnacle for one day or T20 cricket.
Michael Caine for 10 News First.
The Western Force could have to wait an extra week before their return back into Australian rugby. The WA franchise set to have a first-round bye when the domestic comp kicks off in early July. Force captain Ian Price says his team is well prepared for any uncertainty that comes with the new tournament after being controversially axed from Super Rugby almost 3 years ago.
It's just a really positive story in Australian rugby and world rugby. I think that was felt around the world and around Australia when that decision was made, and obviously we've come out the other side of that now. And it's a really special time for this club and its history.
The Force is likely to play all of their games on the East Coast unless our borders and closures are relaxed. Meanwhile, the Sunwolves' time as a Super Rugby team is over. Rugby Australia had been hoping to include the Japanese franchise in a 6-team domestic comp, which features the Force, the Tars, the Brumbies, the Reds and the Rebels. But COVID-19 travel restrictions scuttled those plans. Meantime, Rugby Australia's financial rescue will come at a cost, with significant staff cuts this week as part of a sweeping restructure. And former Carlton and Kangaroos coach Dennis Pagan famously described a draw as like dancing with your sister. Well, in the NRL, Penrith and Newcastle proved just how torturous a tie can be.
Burton has got this on off the post! Back to Coruscant, he's offside!
All up, the Panthers and the Knights flunked 7 game-winning field goals. Since neither side could be split after regular and extra time, they can share our misplay of the day. We'll be checking in with the Eagles and the Dockers tomorrow night, and I've got plenty more coming up after 6.
See you then. A cloudy end to the day in Perth. Michael Schultz joins us next with what's in store tomorrow.
We speak to an activist in America as riots erupt across the country.
Tonight, the battle to make MasterChef's top 10 begins.
I think we've got a battle on our hands here, guys. That's right, gang. Citrus.
Just wait till you see who comes out on top.
Nothing could have prepared me for the flavour bomb that's in that bowl.
The battle for the top 10 starts tonight.
Can I have a minute more? These hours will slip away. Always fading out as night creeps into day. I can sense the currents may have changed, rearranged. Some things never stay the same inside. Stay clear. This is how legends are made.
The legendary Toyota Supra is back. Experience the exhilaration for yourself.
This is how legends are made.
Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Here go, Swagger.
Steve? Domino's is bringing New York to your living room with the new tastier New Yorker range. Now with even more authentic ingredients, like huge pepperoni on a giant-sized New York pizza. Try one from just $19.95 delivered from Domino's.
Here we've got Ben. He's spending his time in ISO by swimming around in his heated pool, which he filled up with the kettle. Oh yeah, he also smashed out a win in the Oz Lotto. Play this Tuesday. Go on, play for WA.
I had one of my apprentices tell me, you know, you can regrow your hair these days. I didn't sack him. Cheeky.
Reached your turning point? The doctors at Ashley and Martin could help regrow your hair.
Which delicious new Arnott's Cracker Chips flavour will you try first? Hickory ribs with sticky glaze or mozzarella and basil bruschetta? Arnott's Cracker Chips, oven roasted, never fried.
For the mid-afternoon naps. For the midnight marathons. For bringing the family together. For a chance to escape from the world. For the good times and the other times. For the years of support. Danks Furniture. The comfort of home.
It's Gogglebox, like you've never seen.
What the f*** is that?
New Celebrity Gogglebox USA is coming to Thursdays.
Good evening. We recorded 7.4 millimetres of rain in the 24 hours up until 9 o'clock this morning, and that will go towards the June average of 128 millimetres, and we won't get much rain over the next 7 days. The maximum in the city today got to 19.8 at 1:30. The overnight minimum 13.1 at 20 minutes to 7 this morning. It's 15.4 now. The wind's dropped out. The barometer's rising. It's 1,026.9 hectopascals. Relative humidity 75%. Around the area today, up to the north, there was a 22 for you in Lancelin, 20 reported at Bullsbrook and Guildford. It only reached 16 degrees for most locations in the hills. The lowest in the state was 14 degrees. That maximum was recorded at Newdigate today. The highest maximum was 37 at Columbaroo in the North Kimberley, and 3 was the low last night. It was recorded at Laverton in the Northern Goldfields and Bulga Downs in the Gascoyne. The heaviest fall of rain in the 24 hours up until 9 o'clock this morning was that Metro report of 7 millimetres. It was also recorded at Bullsbrook, 7 millimetres also in the Swan Valley at Millendon. Now, the satellite images show a lot of cloud around the southwest moving to the Bight region. It's cold and speckly and moving through southeastern Australia now. Since 9 this morning, 0.4 of a millimetre at Esperance Airport, and up to the northwest you can see some cloud, and that could turn into some light patchy rain over the next 24 hours. Onto the chart, and the main feature is the high pressure cell, and this is why Perth's expecting a dry run for the first week of June. The winds, however, to the north of the high will be fresh about the East Pilbara and the West Kimberley coast, and while the high's centre tomorrow will be around 1,031 hectopascals, by the end of the week it could be 1,037. Not much showing up over land as far as WA is concerned with the rainfall, but the Bureau is suggesting there'll be some early showers about the Euclid coast, light patchy showers about the west coast south of Geraldton later in the day, and there is also the possibility of that patchy rain over the east of the Pilbara and also the northwest of the Gascoyne as the day goes on. But most of those falls near the west coast and in the northern half of the state will be insignificant as far as rainfall reportage is concerned. Here are the major centres for tomorrow. The Kimberley's expecting sunny conditions for Broome and Kununurra, partly cloudy further south. Port Hedland's expecting a top of 30. 20 is the forecast maximum for Kalgoorlie, Albany and Esperance. Mostly sunny through the Northern Territory and Queensland tomorrow, partly cloudy in Canberra, a possible shower in Sydney. Everyone else is expecting a shower or two. On our waters, the winds will be easterly overnight and east to northeasterly tomorrow at 10 to 15 knots, so seas around a metre, and the swell 1 to 2 metres overnight, but easing to 1 to 1.5 metres in the morning. High tides 1.13 metres at 4 to 8 in the morning, and the low tide a little over 0.8 of a metre at 29 minutes to 4 tomorrow afternoon. The forecast for the city is for a partly cloudy day. The winds will be mostly light east to northeasterlies. We're dropping down to 9 degrees, and tomorrow's maximum will climb to 22 degrees. And there's not a great deal of change happening under the influence of that high over coming days. Wednesday's going to be partly cloudy. The minimum a little higher, 11, and getting up to 23 degrees. Thursday and Friday should both be mostly sunny and 10 to 22 or 23, and that pattern continues for coming days. Now, we're giving away $10,000, a year's worth of groceries, and if you want to win it, you need a code word, and we'll be giving you that code word within the next half hour.
The crisis engulfing America is escalating, with violent riots moving to within metres of the White House. What began in the city of Minneapolis last week has now spread across the country, fuelled by anger over the death of George Floyd at the hands of police.
Just metres from the front lawn of the White House, rioters cheer as flames engulf a nearby building. It's quickly drowned out by explosions from fed-up police striking with smoke bombs before moving in on demonstrators.
Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight.
This is America right now, burning with anger across the country. More than 20 cities are tonight in lockdown as tensions soar beyond boiling point.
When we're getting killed, minorities are getting killed, and we come out to the streets.
Perhaps the worst is in Los Angeles. Scenes like these are everywhere. A woman on a bike callously robbed at an intersection. The man who tries to protect her with a hockey stick is then bashed himself. Protests have long since turned to rioting and looting. Some try to stop them. This woman bravely confronted masked defenders before being dragged away and pelted with projectiles.
When we see people looting, it defeats the cause.
But it's clear there's just no holding them back.
Look at that. Look at this. This is insane.
And it wasn't just shops either. Cars stopping in the middle of the road while drivers robbed a nearby van. Some locals did their best to clean up the once high-end Rodeo Drive a shadow of its former self.
It's sad, it's devastating. At the same time, it's not surprising.
There's a lot of anger, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and this is not the right way to do it.
If this is only the start of the revolution, then it's hard to imagine what happens next.
We're fighting for humanity right now.
In Minneapolis,
what's happening right now? We see, oh wow,
a truck narrowly missed a crowd of people.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my God.
A giant.
Oh my God.
This is very dangerous.
Many flee, while others return to the tanker, intent on inflicting their own justice on the driver. And they get their shot, savagely beating up the man later identified as Bogan Vachurko. Why he did it is unclear. He's currently in custody as police begin a criminal investigation.
A horrifying image on our television.
It's all horrifying, from the ransacking of shops to those awful images of George Floyd gasping for breath. Under the knee of police officer Derek Chauvin, his eventual death sparking these race riots across the country.
In my mind, this was a violation of humanity.
The city's police chief addressing Mr. Lloyd's family live on national television.
I'm absolutely devastatingly sorry.
But here on the front line, the destruction won't end until they get the justice they demand.
I think some of the people that are angry and protesting now are still angry from some of the other police shootings that happened. So before they can heal from those, here's another one.
We are pursuing justice. We are pursuing truth.
Peace remains the hardest pursuit right now, though. But a ray of hope emerged in the small city of Flint, Michigan.
I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest.
The sight of police walking alongside protesters, a glimmer of light in one of America's darkest hours. Duncan McKenzie-McCarg for 10 News First, United States.
There's growing support for the Black Lives Matter movement here in Perth. Hundreds have gathered for a peaceful protest in the city tonight. Cindy Lovrenchik is there. Cindy, the crowd is continuing to grow.
Monika, there's a huge turnout here, completely packing out Forest Place, but organisers say they are not here to riot, they're here to stand in solidarity with America's black community. We've heard from Aboriginal elders who've told the crowd that what happens in the United States happens here, saying they too know death under police watch. Names of Indigenous people who've died in police custody form part of the chants this evening, with signs bearing George Floyd's last words, "I can't breathe." His death, of course, is what sparked these widespread protests across the globe calling for change. Police have been watching on, but so far this peaceful protest has remained as planned. Monika, crowds are expected to remain for the next, up until about 7:30 tonight. They are making a bit of a move now. And there are more separate Black Lives Matter protests planned in the coming weeks.
Cindy, thank you. Emergency services are tonight on the scene of a fatal crash near Geraldton. Lee Steele is in the newsroom. Lee, police have confirmed 2 children have died.
They have devastating news out of Geraldton this evening, with confirmation a 7-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl have been killed in this crash. It happened at around midday, about 25 kilometres south of Geraldton in Georgina. The children in the back were killed. It was a collision between 2 vehicles, a Mazda 3 and a Ford F250 Ute. A man in his 30s was also in the back of the Mazda. He's been taken to hospital in a critical condition. The front passenger and the driver of the Mazda, along with the passenger and the driver of the Ute, were all taken to Geraldton Regional Hospital too, but they have suffered just minor injuries. Major crash investigators from Perth are in Geraldton tonight. The road where it happened, McCartney Road, near the intersection of Edwards Road, has been closed off tonight as police investigate this. So a devastating end to the long weekend, Mom, with confirmation out of Geraldton that 2 children have been killed in this car crash.
Lee, thank you. A 27-year-old man's been arrested after a tense standoff with police. He's accused of leading officers on a high-speed pursuit before crashing and fleeing the scene. Anne-Marie Leonard has more.
A tense standoff between a 27-year-old man and police.
Now, first step down.
It took officers an hour and a phone call from his mum to convince the man to give himself up. Finally placed into handcuffs after a major hunt through Cloverdale early this morning.
The police were all around the house, climbing the roof, over the fence, and with the dog.
Police say the pursuit started when they tried to pull over a blue Mitsubishi just before 2. They chased the car through several suburbs in the southeast. It ended when the driver crashed into a brick wall on Epsom Avenue.
It was about between 1 and 2 a.m. and just an abrupt noise, and sort of come out the front of my house, and I was seeing that there's a car. It sort of crashed into the neighbour's yard, and I hear police and some commotion.
Officers say the driver took off and left his 3 passengers still in the car. Cloverdale residents awoke as police and the dog squad scoured their backyards. But it was police dog Mako who tracked the man down, found on the roof of a nearby home. The 27-year-old accused driver faced court today on multiple charges, including trying to flee police, reckless driving and trespass. Anne-Marie Leonard for 10 News First.
A new poll has overwhelmingly backed the Premier's hard border closure with the East. It comes as he encourages West Aussies to get out and holiday at home in a bid to save our crippled tourism industry.
Yet another COVID case in WA.
There's a woman in her 30s who has returned from overseas, from the Middle East.
She's in hotel quarantine, taking the state to 29 active cases as the Premier hits the Swan Valley. Breaking his own COVID rules, not just once.
There we are, we have a taste.
But twice.
So people make mistakes.
While encouraging West Aussies to get out and holiday at home in a new Wander Out Yonder campaign.
It's the safest place on the planet and it's the most beautiful destination in the world, and you can help your fellow Western Australians by getting out there and supporting their tourism businesses.
As Phase 3 restrictions are lifted this Friday, local businesses are desperate for a boost.
There's numerous great wineries
food places, breweries.
As the Premier stands firm on our interstate border, with 90% of Western Australians backing his decision. The opposition insists the Premier's hard border closure is unconstitutional, but is powerless to do much about it, instead leaving it to Clive Palmer's High Court challenge.
He needs a reality check on that. We cannot stay locked down forever. It'll kill our economy.
Natalie Forrest for 10 News First.
West Australians have celebrated WA Day in a different way, tuning into a virtual concert. And despite coronavirus restrictions, thousands still managed to get outside and appreciate our wonderful state.
Performing with pride on the day dedicated to all things WA. These local artists are used to singing to the masses, but today their fans are all watching online.
I think while we're performing, we'll just have everyone at home in mind who's tuning in and give it our all.
Restrictions forced organisers to cancel all WA Day events in March, including the state-of-the-art music festival, but decided there was a way it could still go ahead.
Celebrate WA this year has pulled together SodaStream that will be a great way that communities can still experience live music, albeit from the comfort of their own homes.
Despite the day being quieter than usual, many took the chance to head outside.
You've got great beaches, fresh air, beautiful sunshine, beautiful weather. You know, you couldn't ask for anything else.
A bit quieter than it usually is. Not much to do, but getting out, getting some fresh air and some exercise, which is nice.
Celebrating time off and all there is to love about WA.
Just to spend time with your family and have fun.
For those of us who came here from somewhere else, you really do enjoy the comparison because we know how good our place is, our state is compared to the other states.
Amelia Simpson for 10 News First.
Goss is back. Footy training levels, well, they've gone up a gear.
They certainly have, absolutely they have. Most clubs appear to have stepped things up a notch or three, and it's come at a price with one leading premiership contender having cause for concern with some injury worries. I've got a big sport next.
Meet the man who lost his memory following brain surgery and had to start his life again. Plus, how to help your furry friends who are experiencing some separation anxiety.
Does anti-dandruff shampoo leave your hair dry? New Dove Dermacare Scalp is different. Tiffany used Dove on one side of her hair. The side with Dove is smooth. It fights dandruff and keeps hair smooth and nourished with no compromise. New Dove Dermacare Scalp.
Hey, Tina, can you please slice the lettuce, tomato and onions? Toast the buns, grab the sauce and mayo and bring the meat.
Take a break from cooking and get Hungry Jack's Flame Grilled Whoppers delivered now on Uber Eats or Menu Lock. Hungry Jack's Delivery. The burgers are better.
When your throat is swollen or painful, standard lozenges may not be enough. Call on Strepsils Extra. Its advanced formula goes beyond our standard lozenges and numbs pain fast.
Get Strepsils Extra at Chemist Warehouse now. Service is so good, I signed up my mum.
Another real review from a happy Aussie broadband customer. With thousands of 5-star reviews, an award-winning NBN network and all Australian support, you'll want to introduce us to your parents too. Aussie Broadband. Can't beat feedback.
Healthy morning habits help prepare you for the day ahead. Sustagen Hospital Formula Active contains the essential vitamins, minerals and quality protein your body needs to stay strong and active. Sustagen, it's never too late to start. Save on the Samsung Galaxy S20 5G on Australia's best 5G. Find out more in-store or online by June 30. Starbucks coffee is coming home, now available in supermarkets.
At Harvey Norman, get up to $500 of bonus gift cards on Intel laptops. Get a $100 bonus gift card with this Lenovo IdeaPad laptop, now only $999. A bonus $200 gift card with this Asus VivoBook Flip laptop for $1,499. Or a bonus $400 gift card with this HP Pavilion laptop featuring the latest 10th Gen Intel Core i7 processor. Up to $500 of bonus gift cards on Intel laptops, now at Harvey Norman.
Cookie people, cream people, crumbs people, clean people.
Twist people, lick people, dunk people, munch people. It's time to play, people. If you twist, lick, dunk, then you're my people. We are Oreo people.
At Bunnings, we know that restrictions are easing, and with more people out shopping, we still need to keep our distance in store. You can avoid the crowds by shopping on weekdays and in the evenings. Most of our stores are open from 7 a.m. Remember to plan ahead and avoid shopping in groups. Use our hand sanitizer, keep your distance, and use cashless payments where possible. Or you can shop online with delivery or drive and collect available.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Check out our trading hours online.
It's the show that turns headlines into punchlines.
Big week for Harry and Meghan. What did they celebrate, Nick?
Whatever Meghan wanted them to celebrate.
Yeah, that's right.
So, for the biggest laughs on TV...
That's fine, but I'm letting you know that'll cost you next week.
Make sure you're paying attention tonight.
One week until both West Coast and Fremantle take off for what many believe is mission impossible in the Queensland hub. Each training session ahead of the AFL restart is crucial to their premiership hopes. We'll start with the bad news. Ruckman Sean Darcy disappeared into the rooms after going to ground in a regulation tackle. Now, he failed to emerge while 10's cameras were rolling. Meanwhile, on a brighter note, Stephen Hill had another solid session of match sim, while Jesse Hogan was once again impressive as their primary target up forward and moves closer to an AFL return while based on the Gold Coast.
Perhaps it'll be an environment where Jess can start to feel a bit more comfortable with some of the other players. He's taking some great steps so far in terms of his training and preparation. He's got a fair way to go, but everything's looking pretty positive at the moment. And as a leadership group and as a club, we're right behind Jess and walking him back to playing AFL footy.
Up the road, and it was a less eventful session for West Coast. The forwards testing this golf skills with the footy. JK misreading the green on that one there. The boys doing better work kicking them from the stands. They'll have a more serious tune-up on Friday. The Collingwood-Richmond clash will kick things off next Thursday night as the AFL season does resume. Judging by the Magpies' current player predicament, the Tigers clash can't come quick enough. Nick Butler was at Pies training today.
Yes, good evening from a chilly Collingwood HQ where it wasn't quite a main training session today, but it certainly was a lengthy one. About 35 players on the track for more than 2 hours as they gear up to take on the Tigers on Thursday week. Now, the news items of the day, Jordan De Goey didn't step foot out onto the track, but the club insists he is okay, just didn't want to risk the emerging stars' hamstrings on what was a very chilly Melbourne morning. Mason Cox was the other one. He wandered off for a scan. That's in relation to a knee-on-knee incident he had late last week, but once again the club insists the big fella is okay and he'll gear up for a main training session later in the week. So the Pies pretty bullish about their training session today.
Yeah, we're all set on Richmond in a couple of weeks' time.
Now over at the Blues, they were out nice and early for a skills session at Princes Park, and the captain has admitted his young squad is getting sick and tired of losing.
Now it's just time for our actions to do the talking, and I want to play finals footy. There's no doubt about that. I've been at the club for 6 years. A lot of us have been through some really tough losses.
Now, Cripps' lean physique has captured a bit of attention in the last few weeks, and today the skipper has admitted he's shed a bit of bulk to help him get around the ground more and maybe add to a bit of contested ball power.
Oh, you always try and find a little ways to get better, and I'm always going to be strong as a taller midfielder, so it's just find a little ways to get margin of improvement, I think, and who knows, I'll have to let my footy sort of be the judge of that.
So there we go, very ominous signs there, a leaner and meaner Patrick Cripps. Real Melbourne footy weather today, a few of the long sleeve jumpers coming out of the closet.
Thanks, Nick. Majak Daw has avoided surgery on his pec injury and could make his long-awaited return to the AFL within a month. Daw injured his pec in a gym session last Friday, and there were fears surgery could keep him out for possibly the rest of the season. But today, some good news.
They're saying it's about 3 weeks before I can play, but I'm obviously going to try really hard, push myself to get back quicker.
Daw has not played in the AFL since 2018 due to a long list of injuries. He missed round one due to illness. And in today's 500-lap NASCAR race, more than 100 of those were under a caution period, with this crash being the biggest.
Oh, Stas, heavy damage. Big wreck. Tyler Reddick, Cole Custer,
Ricky Stenhouse.
There was further drama when the top two collided with a couple of laps to go, gifting Brad Keselowski the win again. Tomorrow night we'll be checking in with the Eagles and the Dockers, how they're going before they fly off to the Gold Coast. And I promise everyone watching tonight we'll hear more from Steel Sidebottom. We'll let him finish his sentence tomorrow.
Until then, Goss. Michael Schultz has a forecast for the working week after the break.
I'm sure he had more to say.
On Tan's Must See Monday, your home of sensational food is MasterChef at 7:30.
Oh man, super delicious.
It was just a really, really lovely hug and a bowl.
Then later, your home of big laughs is Have You Been Paying Attention?
I can honestly say I've never felt more at home. Okay.
Your home of big entertainment
Still in isolation, but that hasn't stopped us.
is Tan's Must See Monday from 7:30.
Don't miss a moment. New by Solven Duo Syrup is a 2-in-1 formula traditionally used to soothe an irritated throat and relieve an associated dry cough. By Solven Duo. Moments uninterrupted. On special this week at Coles. Save on the Samsung Galaxy S20 5G on Australia's best 5G. Find out more in-store or online by June 30.
QV Ceramides?
It's ceramides. QV Intensive with ceramides soothes dry, itchy skin by supporting the skin barrier, helping keep moisture in and irritants out.
It's like a force field.
So many things can change in 12 weeks. One of the least to change, the vibrancy of your hair colour. Tresemme Colour Shine Flex. Sulfate-free. Keeps colour more vibrant for up to 12 weeks. Hair defined by Tresemme. The rest is defined by you.
Tough, refined, exceptional value. A BT50 stands out. At the Mazda Standout End of Financial Year event, get a 2019 plate Mazda BT50 XT 4x4 dual cab with ABN bonus from $37,490 drive away.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt excellence. By the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
Here we've got Ben. He's spending his time in ISO by swimming around in his heated pool, which he filled up with the kettle. Oh yeah, he also smashed out a win in the Oz Lotto. Play this Tuesday. Go on, play for WA.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, plus unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. Together, we're different. Belong.
Oh dear, it looks like she's not feeling too good. A cup of Lemsip Max Multi-Relief should do the trick. Its multi-action formula helps relieve up to 6 cold and flu symptoms. Lemsip, that's better.
Introducing Jumpstart by Light and Easy, the simple program that will help fast-track your weight loss success and improve your health.
Within those first couple of weeks, I noticed a difference within myself.
I found results straight away, and for me, Light and Easy has been life-changing.
Jumpstart combines the proven weight loss results of intermittent eating with Light and Easy's delicious, nutritious meal plans. Whether your goal is to jumpstart your weight loss or to simply eat well and improve your health, visit lightandeasy.com.au today.
Up next is violent protests over the death of George Floyd flare across the country. Will Trump rise to the occasion? As Aussies start to emerge from lockdown, should masks be compulsory to help stop the spread? Plus, how do we stop our furry friends from feeling it when we finally leave lockdown? The project next.
Very good evening. Nice that we had a little bit of rain last week and over the weekend, because there's not going to be much rain over the next few days. In fact, most of the next week's going to be dry, but temperatures are going to be a little bit higher. The satellite images show the cold mass of air moving through the Bight heading into southeastern Australia. We've got some high-looking cloud reaching across the Pilbara coast and the Northwest Capes area. that could get into a middle level zone and produce some light patchy rain in those areas tomorrow. Not much is showing up on the rainfall model, but the Bureau is suggesting there'll be isolated showers about the Euclid coast. There could even be a little bit of light activity about the west coast south of Geraldton, and that activity moving down from the northwest would affect the northwest of the Gascoyne and the west of the Pilbara. The chart is dominated by the high pressure cell. Tomorrow that gets up to about 1,031 hectopascals. By the end of the week we'll have a high to the south of us, 1,037. So while you've got features like that sitting in the Bide, it steers the cold fronts in the Indian Ocean well to the south of us. The winds on local waters as a result of that high are not going to be strong. East to northeasterlies of 10 to 15 knots, seas around a metre. The swell will be easing to between 1 and 1.5 metres in the morning. Today we fell just short of 20 degrees at 28 minutes to 2 this afternoon. The overnight minimum 13.1 at 22.27 this morning. It's 15.2 at the moment. The winds are east-northeasterly at 6 kilometres an hour. The barometers are levelled off just under 1,027 hectopascals and the relative humidity 75%. Tomorrow's going to be just a little bit warmer. The Bureau's forecasting 23 in Bullsbrook and Lancelin, 22 in Jandakot and Guildford, dwelling up heading for 7 degrees overnight. Perth should drop to 9 degrees overnight before a top tomorrow of 22. It'll be a partly cloudy day with mostly light east to northeasterly winds. Wednesday partly cloudy, 11 to 23. Thursday mostly sunny, 10 to 23. Friday mostly sunny, 10 to 22. The weekend partly cloudy, both minima around 11, 23 on Saturday and 22 degrees on Sunday. I have to look for a new job, not much happening.
Seems fairly predictable, but you never know. Enjoy the remainder of your holiday Monday. Good night.
Good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Tonight, the US is burning as violent protests over the death of George Floyd flare